Yo, yo, live from Star City. It is the Not James Show. I am your host, Jimmy. I ran a 5K today. I talk about that in my previous video that I just posted, so you'll get two today. Had some technical difficulties, so I had to split them into two videos. But I found a video related to the sugar diet, but it's like tangentially related. They don't mention the sugar diet, I don't think. I haven't watched but a minute of it before I decided I wanted to react to it. So this is more about switching from low carb to high carb and getting unexpected results, better results than the person was getting on the high carb diet. And it's coming from a Adam Bunell or a Adam Bunnell. I don't know which one it is, but apparently this metabolic specialist has helped over 400 plus men over 30. That's me. That's my demographic all the way. Get shredded. So without further ado, let's bring them up.
In this video, I'm going to reveal the advanced carbohydrate strategy that is allowing men who's tried keto, low-carb diets in the past to boost their metabolism using carbohydrates. And in the video, I'm going to be using an actual case study with one of my current clients, Kevin, who's eating 450 grams of carbs per day, 1,200 more calories per day, and down 11 pounds, looking absolutely shredded. So we're going to be going through a couple different things on the beliefs behind actual metabolic priming and how priming your metabolism actually works. And then we're going to be going step by step through Kevin's transformation, the implementation of the macronutrients and the changes that we added to his program each and every single week, as well as the weigh-ins from him each and every single week to show you that this isn't a gimmick. This is science. So if you guys don't know me by now, my name's Adam Bunnell. I'm an online fat loss specialist, and I specialize in metabolic priming, which is a process of metabolism manipulation. So I've currently helped 400 men in 7 different countries reach next level body compositions using this exact same strategy. So if you're somebody who has been stuck low carb dieting, low calorie dieting, and you're under 2,000 calories, you just don't understand why you can't get any leaner or lose any more weight, keep aligned with this video and watch it to the very end, because it's going to explain where you're going wrong and what you need to do to fix it. So starting off from the bat, this is my client, Kevin. He came to us at around 190 pounds. And I've got his weigh-ins right here. He came out to us about 194 pounds. So his current calorie intake on the left was 2,000 calories. He was in the gym 5 to 7 days per week, doesn't know what to eat and the lack of knowledge on exactly how much to eat, and he's a logistics consultant. So with Kevin here, we knew right off the bat by looking at his photos on the left that his body was highly inflamed and that he's been accustomed to very low carb diets and very low calorie restricted diets for a very long amount of time, and it's implemented a lot of inflammation and cortisol onto his body. So the guys who come to us who have very stressful,
I find it amazing that he can see that just from looking at the picture, like he knows where to look at to find the inflammation, because I think the one on the left looks good as well. I would probably rather look like the one on the right, but the left is definitely workable, coming from where I'm coming from. But let's just get back into the video, see what he has to say.
Jobs like Kevin, for instance, a logistic consultant, cortisol is a really big thing. And if you're eating under 2,000 calories and you've got a pretty high stress, high performing job, this should be a huge, huge warning sign. So I want to make sure that you specifically make sure to watch this entire video through. So anyways, here's a brief overview on how it works. So first of all, what metabolic priming it refers to the strategic manipulation of carbohydrate intake to optimize the body's metabolic processes, particularly for fat burning and energy production. It's a technique used to prepare the body for fat loss phase or to improve athletic performance by enhancing the efficiency of the body uses and stores energy. Where I see a lot of guys go wrong is like your mountain bikers, your cross-country bikers.
So that metabolic priming, I think that's what I'm speaking on when I have my cheat meals and I'm eating pizza and for some reason I don't feel sluggish. I don't have as much energy. Definitely, I'm not boosted, like about to explode with energy like I usually am when I'm eating only sugar. But when I eat those things now, it feels like my body's actually using them instead of storing them. Like, speaking of, I had a cheat day yesterday where Wendy's, 2 servings of ice cream, a pizza. I only ate fruit until noon. I had chips, I had pretzels, and I was down 1/2 pound this morning. So there might be something to this.
Your runners who are on these low carb diets, because carbohydrates are the main fuel source of the body. And if you're somebody who is a performance athlete restricting carbohydrates, there's a huge chance that you're not recovering properly. There's a huge chance you're running into a lot of inflammation. And there's a really big chance that you're probably stuck and probably in a lot of pain, to be honest. But anyways, preconditioning the body, the metabolic priming with carbs involves gradually increasing carbohydrate intake before fat loss diet or intense training period. This helps the body adapt to using carbohydrates more efficiently, optimizing metabolic pathways involved in energy production and storage, and by strategically using carbohydrates, metabolic priming can directly support fat burning. It can help the body transition more smoothly into a fat burning state by ensuring adequate energy stores and optimizing metabolic pathways for efficient metabolism. Optimizing energy production, carbohydrates are the body's main fuel source of energy, and metabolic priming helps ensure the body is well equipped to utilize them for fuel. This can lead to improved energy levels, better workout performance, and enhanced recovery. So, by pairing carbohydrates with protein, metabolic priming can support muscle growth and repair, especially after workouts. This is because carbohydrates can help shuttle protein into muscle cells, aiding in protein synthesis. So, carbohydrates are like a transportation mechanism for protein. So, the more carbohydrates that you have, like the more protein that can be sent to the muscles to start signaling muscle repair from satellite cells and multiplying myofilaments. And so, individualized approach. Metabolic priming is often personalized with adjustments made to the timing, amount, and type of carbohydrates consumed based upon individual needs. That's where we come in. The type of carbohydrates, the how much carbohydrates, when to make specific adjustments. That is what we currently specialize in. And I could sit here all day and, lose my breath telling you guys how I do this, but really it does come into a context of each specific client gets a certain amount of macronutrients and everybody's bodies works differently. So I would be it'd be unjust of me to sit here and say that all of you follow this certain strategy. What we do works, but it does come with individualization and personal needs based upon body composition. So
I really think that's what people leave out when it comes to doing these diets. I hate nothing more to see on a comment in somebody's video where they're giving information like, what can I eat? Can I eat ice cream? Can I eat this? And I'm just like, go try it and report back to us. Let us know. Like, why are you asking this guy permission for what works in your body, or this girl permission for what works in your body? It never makes sense to me. So those comments mildly irritate me when I read them. And that's what the comment I drop on it all the time is like, you're grown. You can do what you want. It's for sale. It's not illegal. Try it out. Report back. Tell us what type of carbs work.
mechanisms of metabolic priming lead to hormonal changes. Exercise and dietary changes can lead to the release of hormones like adrenaline, cortisol, growth hormone. These hormones stimulate the body to break down stored energy and increase metabolism. Enzyme activation. Metabolic priming involves the activating enzymes that facilitate the breakdown of carbohydrates, fats, and protein for energy. And then mitochondria. The body's energy-producing organelles can increase their number and efficiently responds to metabolic priming, enhancing calorie burning. So benefits of metabolic priming. Increase energy expenditure. Metabolic priming can help the body burn more calories, which may contribute to weight loss or improved athletic performance. By preparing the body to utilize fat as an energy source, metabolic priming can enhance fat oxidation. And then by increasing muscle protein breakdown, protein synthesis, metabolic can support muscle building. So all really good things, right? But if I kind of went over your head right there with all the science behind it, I want to kind of explain it in like a little bit more simple terms, okay? So this is how your metabolism works, right? So your metabolism is made up of 4 separate quadrants, right? How your body utilizes calories. And 60 to 7% of your entire metabolism is your basal metabolic rate. This is breathing, blood flow, sleeping, organ function, keeping you alive. And this is where we focus, 67% of your entire metabolism. Now, thermic effect of food makes up 10 to 15%. How many calories it takes to break down and digest food. So very quickly, protein has a 30% thermic effect, which means that every 100 calories of protein you eat, 30% of that gets broken down in the calorie conversion digestion process. Carbohydrates have a 10, and then fat has a 3, right? And so the low-carb diets, which are primarily fat-based, has a very low thermic effect. And then planned exercise. So this is where most guys will focus and where most guys will go wrong. They will focus on their workouts, workouts, working out twice a day. They'll focus on doing a bunch of cardio, 2 hours of cardio a day. But what they're really doing is they're only making an impact about 5 to 10% about how your body actually burns calories. And so you can already tell the difference between where we focus with thermic effective food and then overall basal metabolic rate, as opposed to where most people focus by 5 to 10%. And then you have your non-planned exercise, which is non-energy activity thermogenesis. This is non-planned, fidgeting, walking, moving, just like me typing on the keyboard. Non-planned exercise, which you do not plan, and how your body burns calories when it's not planning to. This is like walking, right? So there is an actual correlation between carbohydrates and non-energy activity thermogenesis, because psychologically, if you have more energy, because carbohydrates rely on mostly giving you more energy, you can move around more psychologically. Let's think about like when you're on a very low carb diet, you're absolutely zapped.
He says psychologically, but it is so subconscious for me to move more. Like when I look at my watch, I said this before, I am always surprised at the number of steps I take. So granted, today I ran the 5K, but I am at 12,000 steps. And after the 5K, I was only at 720, 7,200. So it's just insane how having the energy in your body, like, is so not a conscious thing for me to get up and start moving around, for me to get up and start cleaning up, for me to get up and take a walk. My body craves the movement, and I usually have to force myself to do those kind of things on other diets or just my standard diet. It was always fun once I got moving, but getting moving was so difficult. Now it's like I don't even need the motivation. It wouldn't even be the word to use. I just do it.
You're absolutely drained. You get home, what's the first thing you want to do? Is hit the couch. If you got a lot of energy, maybe you go home and instead of laying on the couch, you go out and play with the kids. You go out and get the groceries for the wife. You go out and you fidget a little bit more, walk around the house a little bit more. So psychologically, the more energy you have, the larger your NEAT is. And we do implement processes like this for our clients. And so why metabolic priming is so beneficial, and why understanding your basal metabolic rate, NEAT, exercise activity, thermic effective food, is we quite literally will focus on NEAT, basal metabolic rate, and thermic effective food before we even focus on exercise activity. So we are quite literally focused on 90% of how your body burns calories without cardio, right? Without doing workouts, without all that extra stuff. The reason why we're so beneficial and why we are the #1 upcoming online fitness program on the internet right now from a metabolic perspective is because we focus on the calories that you burn without actually having to try, right? We focus on 90% of your metabolism and then actually burning calories. But anyways, other than that, I want to kind of break you through actual Kevin's transformation. So 194 all the way down to 183. Keep in mind, this is 1,200 more calories per day and almost 300 more carbohydrates a day, right? So if you guys don't believe it's possible, I want to actually show you the side by side. So step 1 when clients come to our program is implementing correct individualized macros. So remember we talked about how metabolic priming needs to be very individualized. So we have a formula that we've created on the back end of our program. We plug our clients' informations into our formulas, and we know exactly down to the protein, carbs, and fats what we need to be eating every single day to lower body fat percentage, increase muscle tissue, and really hold on to actual muscle tissue as well without losing it along the process, okay? So when we track macronutrients, 1, you get a lot better body composition because calories affect your weight, macronutrients affect how you look, and certain blood markers and blood panels, okay? So keep in mind, macronutrients support how you specifically look, all right? And keep that in mind.
Through Rula, it's easier to connect.
Macronutrients support how you look. I'm just talking until I can get past this commercial. All right, we're past it.
And so where Kevin kind of started off right here, as you can already see, right? Kind of a little bit inflamed. Nutrients support how you specifically look, all right? And keep that in mind. And so where Kevin kind of started off right here, as you can already see, right? Kind of a little bit inflamed a little bit. The side shot looks a little bit bloated. You got the love handles right here. And we implemented correct macronutrients, and just within the first week, sorry, these shouldn't be here. These should be down below a little bit further. Just within the first week, getting into the program, we can already see that we implemented these new macronutrients, 25 more grams of carbohydrates on the 25th, right? So right off the bat, coming from where he was back in these photos right here, sorry, let me fix this real quick. On the 318, just implementing correct macronutrients for Kevin, look at the changes just in the first week, right? A side shot, inflammation's already depleted, right? In back shot, love handles are already starting to subside a little bit. And then what do we do on this date?
I smile because he said back shot, and I'm just not mature. I'm not mature enough to handle that.
Since he's looked better, and not only that, he's also, went from 193 to 188 and lost 5 pounds within the week. What did we do? We gave him more carbohydrates, right? And I want you to look what happens when he gave him more carbohydrates. So I wanted to put a caveat behind this, is that I'm going to show you week by week him checking in, but we do not update his macronutrients each and every week. Why? Is because some weeks we need to let his body transition, right? When I mean transition is what we're utilizing is a scientific approach called carbohydrate metabolism. And this carbohydrate metabolism typically takes 2 to 3 weeks for your body to actually transition. So there are certain weeks that he checks in with us because our clients check in each and every single week. And if you're with a personal trainer who's checking in only once a month, that's where you're gone wrong, because progress needs to be made as you're making progress, or change need to make as you're making progress. But we check in every single week, right? And what happened is on this date, when we gave him more food, the next week, he looks better, right? You can see his lower abdomen starting to come out a little bit. But we actually didn't change anything on this date. And the next change that we actually made, he was at 189 on the 4th, right? So not much changes, right, in overall, just like weight. But I want to put this in a perspective for you guys, that there is a difference between weight loss and fat loss. Fat loss means that we are losing body fat. And if we're losing body fat and gaining muscle tissue, the scale might not make much of a difference. Weight loss.
I stopped him right in the middle of that explanation, which wasn't great, but I know you heard that before, and I agree wholeheartedly. Like, I always, my aunt complained about her weight and just the weight, get the weight down. And I was like, if you look like Beyonce and you were 500 pounds, would you care that you were 500 pounds when you stepped on the scale, or would you more appreciate the shape of your body? And without fail, she always says the shape of her body. So I'm like, why are you killing yourself with cardio instead of just putting your energy into learning how to eat? And I'm on the same journey with her, so it's hard to lecture from that position, but it's just a mindset thing.
It's just like, how low can I get on the weight scale this week? And obviously, if you focus just solely on weight loss, you're losing muscle tissue. And they've done studies in the National Library of Medicine that state that losing muscle tissue is quite literally more metabolically damaging than losing body fat. So keep that in mind. That it is worse health for you wise to lose muscle tissue than it is to lose body fat. You've probably lost weight before, but you probably don't look that much better afterwards, and right? Because you're losing weight, you're not losing body fat. So we don't really necessarily care too much.
Another great point. I've lost weight before tons of times in high school. I wasn't as big in high school, but when my mother passed from cancer at about 2012, and I was as heavy as I ever been. I was probably 295. And I learned about intermittent fasting, and I started doing a 16-8 protocol, and I would break my fast at noon, and it became second nature to the point I wasn't thinking about it. Every morning I just felt leaner and leaner and leaner, and I was losing weight, but not actively. Like, I wasn't actively on the scale. It just fell off, and I ended up stepping on the scale. I was from 295 or 290-ish. I stepped on the scale, and I was closer to like 220, 215. And the only reason I stepped on the scale is because my friend was looking for me, and he was like, I don't recognize you anymore. He was like, you're just a skinny dude now. And I was like, oh, really? It was news to me. and that felt great. But I wasn't working out, and I had lost a lot of muscle along with it, so I still wasn't confident not wearing a shirt in the pool or taking my shirt off in general. Like, I didn't like the way I looked under my shirt. I love the way I looked in clothes, and that's similar to the way I feel now. I think I look great in clothes, and but it's really interesting. Like, this time I am aiming at fat loss. I almost want to say that more than weight loss. I want to, my body fat percentage is part of my goal, and I don't mention it enough, but I want to go from 38-40, which is already ridiculous to even say out loud, and I won't be satisfied till I'm sub 15% body fat.
Obviously, we want him to weigh lower, and that's the goal. But like, we don't really care too much about weight. And a lot of the times when guys get into our program, the first thing we have to do is break their limiting beliefs around weight, because like, you know, he's weighs 189 here, opposed to up here at 188. But let's actually look at the actual physical differences, right? So this is at 189, and this is at 188, right? Obviously, his abs are coming out, side shots depleting, back's getting tighter, just at 189. And what do we do on this date? We give him 25 more grams of carbohydrates, damn right. And then we waited another week, right? And then the next time we made a change was 422. He was at 187. So he was lost more weight when we implemented more carbohydrates, right? And on this date, his front shot starts to look good. Side shots like almost completely deflated from where it was back up here. And this is already just eating, let's see, 400 grams of calories more per day at 187. What did we do this week? We added more carbohydrates. Next week, looked even better. Like, his side shot started to improve. His back shot started to improve. He was at 185, implementing more carbohydrates from the week before, right? And so what do we do this day? More carbohydrates, right? And then next week, he looks better. Front shots looking great. Love handles on the back is starting to subside right here. And then he was weighed at 185 again with 25 more grams of carbohydrates. So keep in mind now, he is up 600 calories per day, and he is down 8-9 pounds, right? Right off the bat, just within the first few weeks. And once his body starts to really transition into a carbohydrate metabolism state, that's when we really start to get like more aggressive with changing the macronutrients each week. So like on 513, we gave him 25 more grams of carbohydrates and a little bit more protein, because you can see after this last food change on the 6th right here, look how much different he looks just within the week. Abs are gone. Abs are showing, like, digestion's optimized. He's now at 186, yes, but we don't really give two shits about that, right? Like, if it was between this shot right here and if this was you and this shot right here, would you give really any rat's ass about what you actually weighed? Probably not, right? And then next week, what do we do? More food, right? Next week, same thing. You can see his obliques starting to come in a little bit more. We're starting to get that etching in there, and that lower lat is starting to come in a little bit more. We're still at 186, but that's not a big deal because we gave him more food the week before and his weight is stable. So we gave him more food. What happened the next week? Still looks better, right? That lower abdomen that lower back shot starting to come in.
That first pause was a bad place to pause. But it's amazing that he's already up to like 3,000 calories and still maintaining the weight within a few pounds. It's just amazing. Like, it just feels unnatural that your body cannot handle more calories. So I'm not saying you don't need a calorie deficit to lose weight. I'm just saying different things go into your calorie output, and you don't necessarily have to count them to make it to where you're going, depending on what you want, because I'm not a pro athlete. I'm not a competition bodybuilder. I want to look good without a shirt. That's it. And that's a far cry away from visible, super defined abs. I want some veins to pop out these arms. I want my muscles to show. I want to look good in a shirt.
Back is starting to get nice and wide and get a good, like, actual frame around it. And then 185 still. So he's like maintaining this 185 as we are gaining more food, right? Keep that in mind. So right now he's up at 3,000 calories, and we just added 3,100 calories on this date, and this is what he looks at 3,100 calories at 185. So let's keep in mind that he started at 2,000 calories at 194 right here, right? So quite literally, on this date right here, on June 3rd, he is down almost 8 pounds, eating 1,000 more calories per day, right? And his abs are coming out, his side shots coming out, and then he's still at 185. And what happened the next week after we get him more food? Not much changes on the weight scale, but he's starting to really, really get like that nice prominent look. And this is kind of where us as coaches, we kind of call it, because this is metabolic priming allows us to have more resources for your cut. So let's say that like, let's put this in a context. Let's say Kevin came to us at 2,000 calories. I want to get lean. I want to go and do a cut. So he's talking about 1,900 calories and 20 minutes of cardio. All right, next step, 1,800. Next step, 1,700. So we're quite literally prohibited by how many calories that we can consume. So rather, we precondition the metabolism, we raise the food to have more resources ready available. Keeping in mind, he's been doing no cardio. Zero cardio up until this point. But at this point, you can kind of see, right, this is kind of what we look for. At side shot, maybe a little bit more watery than what it was the week before. You know, weight's relatively the same, so it's not a huge deal. But he's getting a nice frame, and he's building that nice structure. But we're also creating leverage, right? And so the leverage that we have now is we have a lot of calories, and he's done no cardio. So from metabolic adaptation, if you don't know what metabolic adaptation is, it's basically how the body adapts to certain calories and certain restrictions along the process. Metabolic adaptation occurs in cardio, which means that the same amount of cardio doesn't have the same stimulus over time. Metabolic adaptation occurs with food, which means the lower you get your food, the lower your maintenance calories become. And so we try to prepare the body for an intense cut phase, right? So
I'm gonna watch the rest of this video on my own. I think this video went on long enough and we can get the general point of what he is saying. Again, this is extra carbs without changing the fat. So this isn't even an absence of fat. So it would be interesting to know what kind of carbs he was eating. Maybe that is the rest of the video. Maybe we will play a little bit more of it. Let's play a little bit more of it.
News in the next couple weeks, he's gonna start his cut. And the next week after we added 25 more grams of carbohydrates, keep in mind, this right here is at 3,200 calories per day. 3,200, 1,200 more calories per day. He has an ab vein right there, if you can't see. This is at 3,200 calories per day at 185. 1,200 more calories than right here, doing no cardio, just simply eating 1,200 more calories per day with ab veins. I can't make this up. Like I said, this isn't a gimmick. This is just science, and I'm laying this out for you so you can clearly see the effects of what happens. And what happens when we do this, we started his cut on this date, and we just added simply...
Can you please just hear me out? No, all work management platforms are the same. Monday.com is the one you'll actually love to use.
Hate these commercials.
They update in real time.
I don't hate them. I actually thrive to have them on my videos. So
20 minutes of cardio 4 times per week, right? So we're starting his cut at 185, right? We're starting his cut at 185, and look what happens when we start the cut. Next week, we lower the food a little bit, 75 grams of carbohydrates, and he's at 185 right here. But I want to show you what happens when we simply lower the food 75 and add a little bit of cardio with this much to work with. This is what happens when he checked in the following week after starting his cut. Abs are looking great. Back is looking defined. You know, front shot, his abs are looking freaking beautiful as can be. And this is his weight, 183. This is today. This is as of making this video right now. 183. By simply lowering the carbohydrates 75, lowering the calories from 3,200 to 29, he's already continually to lose weight. 900 calories per day, 20 minutes of cardio 4 times a week, down 11 pounds, right? And so keep in mind that he has been losing weight typically this whole time, right? And like this is like the kind of data to show it is like he started up here and like we kind of scrolled down a little bit, we hit the cut. boom, right? The weight just absolutely shot down, right? And now he's up for another 20-pound transformation. So keep this into context. Like, this was him. He sent this in our community channel the other day, and this is him eating 2,900 calories on the right, 2,900 calories, 20 minutes of cardio a day. And we have so much more calories to work with. But put this into context. How much more sustainable would this be to lose weight and lose body fat this way rather than trying to highly restrict yourself, getting starving, following low-carb, stupid diets that don't really give you any sustainability? Because you tried all that already. You tried all that dumb shit already. You tried all that and it just burned you in the past and gained it all back. This is how you take a scientific approach to keep it off for good. You precondition the metabolism, you raise your metabolic rate, you focus on what's most important, how your body burns calories, and then when you start the cut, you can make significant more progress trying significantly less hard, right? And this is just, halfway through Kevin's program. Like, give us 3 months, 2 months, 10 weeks, somewhere around there. We're gonna have a testimonial video with Kevin, and I'm gonna show you, and I want him to tell you for himself, because
Amazing. Simply amazing. He's definitely getting a follow from me. Again, his name is Adam Bunell. And I said I can thrive. I thrive to get ads on my videos, but the word is strive. A little OCD, so I had to fix that verbal typo. But crazy great information here. Crazy great motivation. And sugar for life, man. Sugar for life. I hope everybody continues to do well on this journey. Drop your weight in the chat. We're on the road to 195, and we're gonna get there. And I hope you're there with me at the finish line. Peace. Have a great one.